Welcome back to Block Garage. I'm Brian. More work on the 280Z today. So if you guys are not familiar with the car, we have rebuilt this thing from a rusty pile of crap, fixed a ton of rust, done a ton of body work, painted the car right here in this tiny garage, and now we're working on the 2JZ swap. I've been working on this car for a couple years now, basically every weekend, and we are working on the cool stuff now. So last weekend, got the wiring harness installed, the Wiring Specialties wiring harness. It's basically ready to go. I still need to get it through the firewall, and it could go through over here somewhere, through the factory hole that has been deleted now. But before I decide on that, we are going to build the downpipe from scratch, which means we need to do some pie cuts. And I've never done this before, so it's going to be a learning experience. Now, Vevor, they've sent me tools in the past. They sent me this little bandsaw here. Be perfect for cutting some pie cuts in this stainless pipe that I picked up from Summit. We are basically ready to go. So let's get started. You guys that have been watching right along might notice we are back in winter mode in the garage. I got the wood stove back in here because it has gotten pretty cold overnight. I just wanted it in here this morning, warmed up. Well, we're going to keep it in here for good for the winter, but I wanted to run it this morning because it was pretty chilly in here. We got Rex out here, got his little cute little sweatshirt on. But I want to get it a little warmer out here for him. So we got a nice dog bed over here set up for him with all of his toys and stuff, some treats. And he's ready to go. We're ready to go. So over here, this is what we're working with. This is 3-inch stainless that I picked up from Summit Racing, and I've already marked it so that we can get some pretty accurate pie cuts. So the basic of it is you need a line down the center on both sides, halfway around, because what we're going to be doing is we're going to be putting it in this bandsaw. You're going to cut it, you're going to rotate it, cut it, because we got to cut them at an angle so that we can get the exhaust coming out of this turbo turned and down right there. It's pretty tight, but we're going to make it work. So what we're going to do now is we're going to get this thing all set up. We're going to start making some pie cuts, putting them in place, seeing what happens, see if we can get it all bent up around there and turning down where we need to go. So in case you guys have never seen how pie cuts are done, and I could buy these, but I wanted to do it myself, save some money, plus learn how to do it. So I've got this set up for 15-degree angles between the pie cuts. So you cut it at half of that, 7.5 degrees. It seems to be pretty common. We're going to go with that for now, see how it works. If I need to do tighter or something, we can come back and do it. This is just for a trial. So I've got this mark here, 1.5 inches up off the bottom, because this is 3-inch pipe. And you'll see why here in just a second. But the first cut is a wasted cut because you got a straight end on the end and we can't use that. So we're going to cut this off so we can get started. Now you gotta be careful you don't squeeze too much. You don't want to oval the pipe while you're doing this. Also, we'll go over this Vevor saw while we're working, but it's got a light on it. It's got speed adjustments. It seems to be pretty high quality. It is corded, so we do have to deal with that, but that's what you get for trying to save some money. So now what we want to do, where we just cut that one off, we need to rotate this 180 degrees. So we'll line it up with our other line. And then we need to move this out so that the back edge, the long edge here, is 30 millimeters long. And I've got this set up. I measured off of here to our previous distance, added 30 millimeter. This seems to be pretty common for these pie cut size, so we're going to go with this. So we're going to measure out so that it hits my square right there and is lined up with our line here. And we'll lock it down. So now, in theory, this should give us a perfect pie cut. Let's try it. Bud, where the heck did that roll to? Did you see the way that went, buddy? Oh, way over here. And that's what we end up with. That looks like a pretty nice pie cut to me. It looks pretty even. It cut nice. It obviously needs to be deburred. We will get to that. But I think we're going to make, I don't know, 4 or 5 of these. And then we'll go try them on the car real quick. All right, let's check these out. I got them all deburred. They are really nice. They fit together good. Now the thing with pie cuts is it's really labor intensive. It's going to take you quite a while to cut all these out, tack them in place, do all the welding. You know, it's quite a process to do, but you do save money, so it depends on, you know, what you value more. I know Vibrant sells pie cuts, but we're going to make our own. Let's go over this Vevor bandsaw here real quick. So it feels very high quality. It feels solid. It doesn't feel like cheap crap, and it's not that expensive. I think it was like 160 bucks to buy. They sell everywhere, like Amazon, their own website, all that stuff. Like I mentioned, I believe it's got speed variability. It's got a light, so you can see what you're working on. You know, everything feels solid. You got angle adjustment back here. It is marked, but it's also good to check with a angle gauge. I don't know where mine went. I had it over here. The clamp's pretty good. It does have a quick release, so you just slide that out. You don't have to wind it out the whole way. It clamped good. My pipes didn't go anywhere. They didn't seem to wander or anything, which you can tell based on how the pipes are fitting together. You know, the gaps are nice, so it should be fairly easy to weld, I think. But this will be the second time I've welded stainless, or TIG stainless, I guess I should say. But yeah, I'm happy with this thing. It would be a good pickup if you were trying to save some money over buying like a name brand Milwaukee or something like that. You do have to deal with it being corded, which isn't a huge deal. It depends on how important that is to you. And it comes all just like this, all assembled. You honestly don't have to do anything besides put the blade in. Oh, it comes with 2 blades. It's a standard size blade. You know, same thing you'd buy for a Milwaukee or something like that. Also, if you want, take out these 3 Allen screws right here. This will come off, and you can use it as a regular hand bandsaw. You know, so you can carry it around, do whatever. It doesn't have to stay attached to this bench. It's really easy to do. Overall, I would be happy if I bought this, and I'm even more happy that they sent it to me. And, you know, I'm not going to lie to you guys and tell you this thing is good just because they sent this thing to me for free. If this was crap, I would let you know. But it's really solid. It does not feel like it's just going to break after a couple uses. The stand is decent. It's not, you know, don't expect a super high quality stand. It's, you know, it's sufficient. It will do for the price point. It'll get done what you need to get done. I think you can do up to like 5-inch pipe, if I remember right. Something like that. But yeah, if you want one, go check them out. Vevor, like I said, they sell on Amazon in their own website, vevor.com. I'm sure they sell other places too. And they sell a bunch of tools. They're the one that sent me that dent removal tool. This thing down here that I used when we were doing all the dent removal on the car. You know, it's the stud puller. Weld on the studs and slide hammer and pull the stuff out. That worked very well. So far, I've been happy, you know, really happy with the stuff that I've gotten from Vevor. But we need to try and see how we did with these pie cuts and see what they're going to do on the car over here. Look at how cute the little boy is over here, sleeping in the garage. So I'm thinking we're going to go right about there with the downpipe. We got a little bracket right here where the brake line meets together, the hard line and the soft line. We got the block oil pan right there. There's plenty of room to get down between there. Now we could go back here, but that gets us really close to the firewall and the floor. And if we got anything mounted on the firewall, you know, everything's just going to get hot, you know, melt, stuff like that. So it'd be better to put it out here, but that puts us too close to our wastegate. But I believe that I can turn this wastegate so it's pointing forward, and we have the dump tube going down up there. But I need to make sure that there is enough room because I hadn't decided which way I was going to do it when we built it. I'm not recirculating this into the downpipe. It's just going to dump to the ground. So I'm going to try turning that real quick. Make sure that we do have enough room for that dump tube up there. All right, well, I had plenty of room, or have plenty of room to send that forward, so that helps a ton. We're going to do that. Let's see if we can take some of these pie cuts and start making something. So the Pulsar Turbo comes with the V-band flange already on there, so you don't have to buy one of them. I think I'm going to tighten that down so that doesn't spin on me. Yeah, let's do that. All right, let's see what we can do with this. So we need to come out this way and then down at an angle that way. And that's the good thing about pie cuts is, you know, if you just had a 90-degree bend here or 45 or whatever, it just comes straight this way and that's it. It aims this way. This, every single section, you know, you could, you know, normally it would go like this. You'd put the thin part to the thin part so you'd not have a straight radius. But if I wanted it to turn up a little bit, you know, we could put them up like this. Next one could go clock just a little bit like this. So that gives us the ultimate amount of adjustability. Well, what do you think of that? I am very happy with how this is turning out. It's actually quite easy to do. I mean, we haven't got to the hard part right yet. That would be the welding. It's going to be a ton of welding. But I got it to where I want. This piece, I got a piece of like a 2-foot straight piece down there and there. So I could make sure I'm sending it right down exactly where I want it to go. But I can't just hang that off there right now. So I think what we're going to do, so that we can do that, is I'm going to take this all back off of here, and we're going to start tacking this into place. So, and then we can take the tape off, and then we can come back and weld it once we're 100% sure. But I don't want it to fall apart right now, so we are going to take that off there real quick, hopefully without disturbing it, and tack it in place on the bench. Well, check that out. I'm really happy with the fitment. My tacks I'm not happy with. I definitely need to get better at those. It's really easy. I blew a hole right there, overheated down there. You know, I'm still really new to TIG welding, so, and this is the second time I've ever welded stainless, so we'll get there. We can make it look decent, but it should fit in here pretty well, just like that. So I'm really, really happy with that. We got a lot of welding ahead of ourselves, though. But I got to get that bottom piece lined up, figure out where I want it, bring that over, and I'll tack that together, make sure it fits, and then we'll get to fully welding this. So I'm going to go do that. And yeah, I'll catch back up with you guys once we're ready to start fully welding. One thing I wanted to mention is using that blue tape, it works good to hold it together. Better than I anticipated. I didn't have any issues with it falling apart. And I just put basically 3 pieces around to, you know, hold it from all angles from falling. And we're good. However, once you start welding, tacking this in place, it melts the glue and really leaves some nasty residue on there. It's actually quite hard to get off, which you don't want when you're TIG welding because you don't want that contaminating your welds. So I do know that they sell tape specifically for holding your pipes in place when you're TIG welding. I think I'm going to get that because I'm assuming they make it so it doesn't leave that residue. So that's just something I just found out, though. I just want to mention to you guys. All right, let's get welding. I'm purposely starting on the bottom because that's where you want your joint. Just looks a little better. All right, we are done, and that took quite a bit of time. Now, don't forget I have never done this before. It's like my 4th time TIGging, and I've never done stainless pipe, so I struggled quite a bit. And let me set this down here. I first had the welder set up as you normally would, you know. I forget my amperage. I think I had it set on like 70, no, I had it 50 amps. Using the foot pedal, that way I could vary it. But no matter what I did, and I struggled for quite a while, the welds all turned out looking gray. Nothing like a stainless weld should look like, you know, like look at this here. Like there's no, it just looks like kind of like a MIG weld instead of a, you know, the dime look of a good TIG weld. And I realized I'm not going to get it perfect. But no matter what I did, it didn't look right. And I did a ton of research off and on figuring out what's going on. Why would the welds be so gray? Why would they not be the right shape? And I tried many different things. I tried different tungsten. I tried different heat settings. I tried different speed. I tried using MIG wire, 030 stainless MIG wire. That didn't help. And it just came down to, I believe, technique. Usually, from what I've read, would the welds look gray like that? You know, kind of like this. It's from excessive heat input. It's oxidation, and although you don't have a huge heat affected zone, see, it's pretty close here on both sides. You know, it's not like I'm getting it way hot way out here. But what I found out worked the best is to put it in pulse mode. So on the welder, you got DC. I don't know what it's called, but it's full voltage all the time, although, you know, you can still vary it with the pedal. If you put it in pulse mode, it pulses to your max amperage, and then it shuts down to whatever you set the low amperage on. I had it on 50 and 20, so it pulses, goes on, off, on, off, on, off. And I think part of why that helped me is it helped me keep somewhat of a rhythm, because it's really hard to go consistently, and that's how you get the nice look. It also helped me from overheating it too much, which I do think is what was happening, because I was actually, once I went over to the pulse setting, I was getting some color in it instead of just being gray. It's certainly not perfect still, but it's way better. If you look down here on, you know, like some of these down here on the flange, the V-band flange, they look pretty decent right there. Ignore this here. I had to fill in some pinholes, but, you know, down here it looks pretty decent. Overall, I'm fine with it. I think it's going to be fine. Now, one thing I didn't do was back purge it, which ideally you would do. I don't have a setup to do that. And to be honest, I didn't realize that you should with stainless before I started. That I found out when I was doing my research. So if you look in here, you get that, they call it sugaring. And if that's because you get contamination on the back side of the weld, because there's oxygen back there in your pipe. your shielding gas obviously can't cover that side. So what you'd do is you'd back purge, you'd fill that tube with its own supply of argon. I don't have a setup for that, and you don't absolutely have to, but it does help with strength of your weld and the look on the inside. So maybe, I highly doubt I'll ever do it, but maybe in the future I will. But anyways, so that's what I found out with this. I'm happy enough with it for now. I really think it just comes down to technique on getting these welds looking good. I've got a bunch of, pinholes that I had to fill and stuff like that, so it doesn't look great. But from where I started, and I was quite frustrated at the beginning to where I ended, I'm very happy. So I guess let's go throw it in the car and see how it looks. Yeah, she still fits nice. I mean, we got some ugly welds showing, but you know what? I did it myself. I'm learning. I'd much rather do that myself and try to learn how to do it than pay somebody to do it for me. But I'm thinking we need to go underneath the car and figure out the bottom side, because we're not done with the downpipe. We need to start sending that backwards and put a V-band on the bottom. Alright, so we're going to have our pipe somewhere right around there. We're not doing this today. This will be later. And we are going to have to modify transmission mount, which I kind of figured. So we want that to be right about there. We don't need to come down that far. And I want the V-band, I'm thinking somewhere, I mean obviously not way back here, but about this height. You don't want it down here because that makes it even lower, which we're going to have to worry about ground clearance. So I'm thinking somewhere, it'll probably be mounted, I don't know which way to be mounted, but anyways, somewhere like that, but over here where the downpipe is, which means if we're going to have it somewhere like that, we're going to want to start somewhere, probably right around there. Let's grab that V-band together. I'm thinking somewhere right around there. I think that's where we're going to chop our pipe, and we'll cut some more pipe cuts. Yep, let's do it. All right, let's chop this thing off. A nice clean square cut. Well, we got to clean it up still, but this thing cuts nice. So that's our piece. We only needed, what, 3 on the bottom. We're going to put our V-band flange right there, and then it needs maybe 1 or 2 after that to send it straight back. But this is all we're going to do for now, obviously with the flange. But we got to get these tacked on, and I did learn how to tack weld stainless. You can do it without filler rod. And basically what you do is you got your torch here, set your amperage at about 100-ish. And what you're going to do is roll onto your foot pedal real quick just till the arc starts, and then stab it all the way real quick. Like immediately stab it all the way and pull away. And if you commit and do it like that, you'll get a nice tack. If you don't commit, it's just going to pull apart, but it does work well. Plus, you got an extra hand if you need to hold stuff together instead of trying to hold your filler rod. So I do still struggle with it a little bit. See, this one didn't want to go, but these two I got tacked. So now we can take our tape off. All right, I'm going to get this welded up. All done, and that went so much better. That pulse setting, I mean, look at, they're not perfect, but look at how much better my welds are. They're not all gray. Now, they got a decent pattern in them. Certainly, like I said, not perfect, but I'm so much more happy. I wish I would have done this good up here where it's visible. That nobody's going to see besides you and me, I guess. So the downpipe is almost done. We got one more small thing we got to do to it before we can say it's done. We have got to install this wideband O2 sensor, at least the bung. So let's get this thing open. Got this from Wiring Specialties right along with my wiring harness and ECU and everything. The only thing I need to know is, let's say on here, nothing on there. We need to know how far from the turbo to mount it. So we need to position this down here, and we want it a decent ways away from the turbo, just so we don't kill sensors all the time. You know, you don't want it mounted right up here. We're going to go down there as far as we can. You also want to mount it angled up a little bit. They say at least 10 degrees. Because if you put it down, the water from the exhaust will pool in the sensor and kill the sensor. So you want it pointed up because, you know, a H2O is a byproduct of the combustion process. So you're definitely going to have moisture in there. Now, I'm thinking, before we drop my light, I'm thinking putting it right about there. It gets it way out of the way. It wouldn't be too hard to change it if we need to. I mean, I'd like to go a little further down, but we can't. You know, that would be too far down. If we go here, we're angled down. We're decent ways away from the turret. I could go back here too. All right, I'm going to figure out where I want. We're going to go here, or we're going to go over here. But once we figure that out, we'll just drill a hole, weld the bung on, and we'll be done. All right, let's throw this thing in. We should be Or it could be permanent. Maybe I'll come out at some point, but no plans to take it back out now. Throw a wide band in down here. There we go. She's fully installed. Let's grab my light so you guys can see. But see, we got plenty of clearance down there for everything. Should be fine on the fitment. So this project is done. It took a ton of time, mostly because of my inexperience, but also it's just labor intensive anyway. Doing pie cuts, I mean, all of those cuts, all of those welds, I mean, that is a lot of welding in like what, a 2-foot piece of pipe, 2.5-foot piece of pipe. So I don't think we could have done this without the pie cuts, so not to get as good of fitment as we could have. You know, we could have got a 90 here, you know, trimmed it, got a 90 there and trimmed it a bit, and it would not have fit as good. We would not have gotten as good a fitment, and we would not have gotten as much practice TIG welding. So, thoughts? I need a lot more experience. I need a lot more practice with TIG welding. Switching over to the pulse setting on this helped me a ton. Not perfect, but it helped me a ton. So if your welder has that and you are inexperienced like me, give it a try. I found very, very big difference in the weld quality. Hopefully I get better though, you know, going on. Get some more practice. A lot of it's just technique, trying to keep moving and everything. Doing tubing is tough anyway because you have to curve down around as you're welding. It's tough to do. It's really easy to get a bad angle on your torch. It's really easy to, you know, not get enough filler in there or just move too slow, and that's what I found. So also this Vivor bandsaw helped me a ton. We would not have gotten as good of fit up with all of the pie cuts. I mean, these things were perfect, literally perfect. I had no issues with gaps or anything. This thing cut nice and straight. Very, very happy with picking this up. If you need a cheap bandsaw, highly recommend going and seeing if you want to pick one of these up. Really good quality. I would recommend it for the price. You know, honestly, I'm not just saying that because they sent it to me. I honestly would, if I had purchased that as is, instead of them sending it to me, I would have been perfectly happy with it. It would be a great purchase if you need one. And if you got a small garage like me, it doesn't take up a ton of room. And again, you can remove it from this arm and use it as a regular portable bandsaw. So it literally says portable bandsaw right on it. It's just a bandsaw bolted to this stand. So yeah, I would pick one of those up if you don't have a bandsaw and you're doing exhaust work or anything like this. It helped a ton. If I had tried to do that with a hacksaw or I don't even know, a cutoff disc or something, those would not have been straight at all. So overall, this is a massive, massive step for the 280Z. We've got exhaust gas coming out bottom of the car. We could, if everything else was ready to go, start it at this point. This is what we're going to do for now. I'm not building the rest of the exhaust right now. We got other better stuff to do. We can start it like this. Obviously, we're not going to keep it like that. We will be building the rest of the exhaust. However, that'll get us by for now so we can start it and run it. We got to do intercooler pipes. That's going to be tough because it's going to be aluminum. I don't know. I'm not sure what's next. Oh, one of the questions was, where can we put our harness here? Because I wasn't sure if it was going to be too close to the exhaust, and I don't think it's going to be. I don't. We might end up, if I put it here, which I think we can tuck it down underneath, you know, get it down underneath the head here, you know, lower than the valve, but get it down about here instead of sitting on top. Would come out somewhere here, and we could probably put a hole right here-ish. I'd have to look inside, but somewhere right there. That would be pretty well hidden. And if need be, I can get some heat wrap to go over it. So it's a, I don't know. I have not decided yet. But that was kind of, you know, we needed to get the exhaust in there because I was not 100% sure where it was going to land. You know, if we would have had it closer to the firewall, I would have said, absolutely not. We're not burning up my brand new harness. So, anyways, let me know what you guys think. Very, very labor-intensive video. A lot of learning. just from my first welds to my last welds on there, massive improvements, but I still have a long way to go with TIG welding. Pipe is hard to do. Basically everything we're doing is hard to do. So, you know, I don't have it here, but those pieces, those flat pieces that I welded when I was practicing, they looked really, really good, but they were ideal conditions, nice, flat, straight welds, easy to get to, easy to see. So it is possible. You know, if you guys remember how those welds look, I can get a really nice looking TIG weld. It's once you're not in ideal conditions where the skill comes in. So yeah, a lot of practice coming up for me, TIG welding, because I want to get good at it, period, you know, even after we're done with stuff on the Datsun. But we got lots of stuff to do. You know, I'm probably going to have to cut off this elbow on the radiator because it's, you know, it's a really weird, I don't know, maybe not. Maybe I trim it. Yeah, maybe not. Maybe we trim it and bead roll the end of it and just go, I don't know. Anyways, we got to do something with that one. We got to build our intercooler pipes, the rest of the exhaust. I don't know. Lots of stuff coming up. We'll see what's coming up in the next video, though. Let me know what you guys think of this one. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't. Hit that bell notification so you guys know when every time I post a video. Leave me some comments. The comments help a ton in YouTube pushing the video out to other people. And yeah, that's about it. Hopefully I see you guys in the next video.